Okay, if everybody will raise their right hand, repeat after me. I state your last name, or state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and the Peters Township Home Rule Charter, and that I will discharge the duties of Councilman of Peters Township, Washington County, with fidelity. Congratulations.
Okay, I'd like to call this reorganization meeting for for year 2022 to order. Mr. Lauer, can you please have the roll call?
Ms. Shanafelt. You have to say here.
Present.
Dr. Frosco.
Present.
Mr. Curry.
Here.
Mr. Steigel.
Here.
Mr. Kozer.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Ross.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we go any further, I'd just like to take a minute to welcome Mrs. Shanafelt, Dr. Prosco, and Mr. Ross to council. Look forward to serving with you guys for the next 4 years.
I'd like to extend my welcomes to you guys as well. I look forward to it. Know you two, obviously, from the days we wandered the halls together at PTHS. Tommy, I was talking to your lovely wife, reminiscing about, fond memories of sporting events from the mid-'90s. Look forward to it. And Matt, look forward to it as well.
Thank you. And welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ditto. Save time.
Okay, the first item on the agenda will be the election of chairman of council for 2022.
Mr. Acting Chairman, I would nominate Gary Steigel for chairman for 2022.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I move the nominations be closed.
Is there a second on the closure?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Chairman. Election of a vice chairman. I'd like. Go ahead.
I move that we appoint Mr. Kozer as vice chairman.
I'll second that. Any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I move the nominations be closed.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Kozer.
Well, thank you. I get to count bills now for the next 12 months. I ain't taking Shaycog.
Don't let the cat out.
All right, the next item is going to be appointment of personnel of the Personnel Appeals Committee. So last year, Mr. Berquist, Mr. Kozer, Mrs. Merrill served in that role. Mr. Kozer, you want to stay
I'll
on?
do it again. That's fine.
Okay. I'd like to take one of those positions as well. Is there anybody else? Dr. Prosco?
And just so you know what that is, the Personnel Appeals Board sits to hear appeals from decisions, principally to hear appeals from the decision of the manager with regard to employment issues.
Hey, Paul, I noticed, am I still on that traffic calming committee?
I believe so.
Yes,
Is that on here to be appointed? I didn't see it.
it is not.
It is not?
It is not on this agenda to be, but I mean,
Okay. I didn't see it.
Okay.
yeah,
And I wanted to make sure I wasn't overlooking.
hogging all the fun.
Do we need a motion on this, or is that just a...
No, that's an appointment by you.
Okay, does anybody else have a burning desire to be on that position? Okay.
No.
So it looks like it'll be Mr. Kozer, myself, and Dr. Prosco.
Okay.
Appointment of representatives to the Shaycog Board of Directors. I know there's a burning desire for you guys to be involved in this.
Well, this is a group that we belong to that is a cooperative agency between South Hills communities. They tentatively meet monthly at different locations throughout the South Hills. Council needs to appoint a primary and alternate member to the Shaycog Board.
I did it for 2 years. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's one time a month. I think we've split it up in the past.
Yes, I think what's happened in the past is that the alternate and the representative have switched back and forth on attending.
Well, I've done it 6 years in a row, so I'm out.
I don't know that I've done it for 6, but I've gone for a number of years.
Typically, we,
Oh, do we have a volunteer?
I mean, I can volunteer for that position.
You don't have to go.
we can have somebody.
I'll be your I'll do the alternate.
All right.
Perfect.
And Allison, I'm going to give you a tip. Unlike, it was my hazing. No one on council told me until the 10th month of my first year.
You didn't have to make them
that
all.
I didn't have to go to every meeting, so I'm telling you that right now.
I just told her.
Okay, because none of you guys told me. I'm just
They didn't tell me that after 2 years. I looked every
They,
one.
they used to feed you, but I
I think they still do.
I'll bring my
don't know. I did it a long time ago.
All right. Next item is going to be appointment of a representative to the Police Pension Committee.
So this is a committee that meets once or twice a year, normally during the day, and it's to review the performance of the police pension plan with the provider.
So it looks like we're just going to be replacing Mr. Berkowitz.
I'd be happy to step in.
Mr. Lewis?
Or Paul will have me.
Okay, moving along then. Appointment of the Township Solicitor. It's currently Mr. Smith, John Smith from Smith Butts. I personally don't have any problems with Mr. Smith. I would suggest we move forward with him. However, I
need a motion
recognize
for that, right? I'll make a motion that we appoint John Smith and Smith Butts as the Township Solicitor for 2022.
Second. I'll be quiet.
Okay, is there anybody else that you guys are interested in? No? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's Mr. Smith again. Appointment of the Township Consulting Engineer. It's currently Gateway Engineers.
And has been so since 1978.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Gateway Engineers to be the Township Consulting Engineer for 2022.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's Gateway. Appointment of the alternate consulting engineer, currently Lennon Smith Solar Ray.
I'll move that we reappoint Lennon Smith, Solar Ray Engineering, as the alternate consulting engineer.
Second.
Second. Any other recommendations? Okay, that being said, all those in favor of appointing Lennon Smith Solar Ray as alternate consulting engineer, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Lennon Smith will be the alternate consulting engineer. Appointment of the Township Traffic Engineer. Currently, it is TPD traffic.
Yeah, and I have to correct something. It says here that it's Mark's and my recommendation that we go out and solicit bids. That is not.
I was going to ask you about that. 'Cause
That is
we
not
just
our
did it.
recommendation. We just did this 2 years ago. And if you look at what Mr. Mudry's hourly rate is increased to, his rates now increased to what the other firm's rates were 2 years ago. I think it makes sense to retain Mr. Mudry. The other thing is he's in the middle of a project for us with regard to our traffic signals, and so.
Well, he's been doing this for the township longer than the last couple of years. He worked for a company for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right, and then he went.
Yes.
I've had to work with him on the traffic calming, and he's dead spot on. I said,
He just hired a very impressive traffic engineer as well, who came from my firm.
I move that we reappoint TPD as the township traffic engineer.
Second.
Anybody else to consider? Okay, all those in favor of TPD for traffic engineer, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, TPD it is. All right, it's appointment of boards and authorities. On these, in the past, I know when I got into council for the first time, I think we interviewed pretty much everybody. So if there's somebody that you guys want to interview, you may know some of the appointees, please just stop us and let us know. And we can set that up. But the first one's going to be the cable or television board. And I fell behind here.
Yeah, there's one member whose term expires this year, and he's seeking reappointment to a
All
three-year
right, I'll move that
term.
we reappoint Richard Sandella to a 3-year term on the Cable Television Board.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What do we do with the student representative? We can't get some student? to-
We're going to go out and work with the school district to see whether or not we can get a student representative.
I think with the new studio and the engagement of you know,
So
much
we haven't
more
had a-
equipment.
We haven't had a student rep since the young lady that was there before graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably.
And that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Was that
Right?
from just lack of interest or the?
That's, I think, has more to do with the situation at the high school with regard to the new school and COVID and everything else. But
Makes sense.
here and in the Environmental Quality Board, we want to try to get student representation again.
All right, well, speaking of the Environmental Quality Board.
You skipped construction
Oh, did I
support.
skip? Okay. Construction Appeals Board, we have one term
Vacancy.
expiring.
And he doesn't want to be reappointed.
We have not been able to contact him. He's also has been unresponsive in the past for requests for forms that we need for ethics forms. So,
All right, so
I
I'll make
think-
I'll make a motion. Do we need a motion to open that position, or?
I think you should vacate the position, and then we'll.
All right, I'll make a motion that we vacate Mr. Wissinger's position and advertise for new applicants.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
They only meet like once a year,
I
right?
think they met last year, did they?
It seldom meets for real business. It often meets simply once a year for reorganization.
What about if he calls and says,
I think
yeah, I want to be.
I think we need
Mr.
to
White?
I think we need to find someone else, just based upon his lack of responsiveness to
Okay.
forms that need to be filed by all board members.
Well, if he were to come and say that he's interested, I think we could bring him in here and
Okay.
see what, there may be some kind of circumstance that explains it, but.
I don't think.
All right, back on to Environmental Quality Board. We have 3 terms expiring. I think 2 of them want to be reappointed.
That's correct.
Okay, so we have 1 opening.
So I'll move we reappoint Natalie Shearer and Tom Cierzega to the EQB.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We need a student representative here as well.
They actually would like to get 2 student representatives. There's been 2 students they've been working with. We're going to see about having them, we're going to go out and solicit, give everybody an opportunity to apply, but it's in all likelihood those 2 students are going to be put in front of council for appointment.
Are there any incentives for students to be on these committees?
Only that it looks good on your resume.
So the library.
Nope, we didn't vote.
Traffic impact fee. I'll make a motion that we reappoint Kim Claxton to the Traffic Impact Fee Advisory Committee.
Second.
And then there's another vacancy that we're going to have to fill. Mr. Swotzer has indicated that he no longer wishes to serve, so we're going to go out and solicit from the development community another individual to serve on that board.
Yeah, and that board meets, once a year, right?
Once or twice a year.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to reappoint Mr. Claxon. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on to the library board then. Looks like
I know I don't think they want.
neither of them are seeking.
And we have solicited applications for this position. We have received a number of them. I was going to schedule January 17th, 2 weeks from today, as an opportunity to do interviews, at least for this board.
Yeah, I will not either. Is there any way we can do them prior to, try to get a couple of them in prior to the next council meeting?
You can, all depending on how many people you want to interview. So,
How many applications? do
so
you
far you have 5.
Well, if we have to split it up, I don't think there's any pressing need to get it filled right away.
have?
You still got 5 people on the board.
Be here. I would assume.
Well, can everyone else be here on the 17th? The rest of the other
Yeah, I
5.
believe so.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
All right, there's 5.
Well, that's presuming everyone else can be here on the 17th.
you guys available?
You guys available on the 17th?
Yes.
I will advise you, it is a Martin Luther King holiday.
Yeah. It would be 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I could probably get back by then.
I'm in, that's fine.
We'll do it the 17th then.
Okay, so Parks and Rec, 2 board members expiring, and both are seeking reappointments, Mr. Canavy and Mr. Rafferty.
And this is a very engaging group, too. They have some lengthy meetings. and some controversy. We have obviously one vacancy to fill.
That's what
Actually, Mr. Earhart's position was a school board position, so the school board has a position that they need to make a recommendation to council concerning.
Was it Rafferty School Board? picked
Yes.
it?
So
Yes.
Canavy is the only one that,
Well, and the school board has recommended that Mr. Rafferty
Okay,
be
so-
reappointed, so.
I'll move that we reappoint Mr. Rafferty and Mr. Canavy.
Second.
okay. All those in favor of reappointing Mr. Canavy and Mr. Rafferty, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Peters Creek Sanitary Authority, looks like nobody's coming due this year. Pretty impressive attendance. Not a very good position to be in.
No.
Lots of challenges, absolutely.
Got that.
Peters Township Sanitary Authority, Mr. Wells, term expires and is seeking reappointment.
I'll move that we reappoint Joseph Wells to the Peters Township Sanitary Authority for a 5-year term expiring January 2027.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Planning Commission.
All right, I'm going to make this a little quicker than the last time we reappointed Mr. Mills, so I'll make a motion that we reappoint Jeff Mills to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term expiring January of 2026.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of reappointing Mr. Mills, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Youth Commission, Mrs. Grasso is seeking reappointment.
So moved. I'll move that we reappoint her.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of reappointing Mrs. Grasso, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Who's there? So one more here, Zoning Hearing Board. Mr. Griffith's term is expiring and is seeking reappointment.
I'll move that we reappoint Mr. Griffith.
Second.
All those in favor of reappointing Mr. Griffith, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Looks like we got the boards out of the way. So moving along to designation of official newspaper for 2022. Mr. Lauer's recommendation is the Observer Reporter.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We're getting close to not having a
Yeah, I
newspaper.
think it's going to get interesting what's going to happen with legal ads.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous now. I mean, you pay like $800 to publish a notice in the Post-Gazette, which is only published physically 2 days a week.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why you can't use the Post-Gazette.
Right.
Would be
Still 6.
We know, Harry, we know.
All right,
So the OR was, I just did some legal advertising, and the OR was more expensive than the Post-Gazette by like $100-something.
Well, yeah, that's because they actually still publish.
They still publish.
All right, establishments of dates and times for regular council meetings for 2022.
Move that we establish the second and fourth Mondays as the regular council meeting days, except for December, which would be December 19th instead of December 26th.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Municipal liens, there's no action required for us.
no
to
action
use.
required. The other thing, though, that we were able to get for you, or Ryan was able to get for you, was a list of the outstanding garbage liens. If you look at Ryan's note on this, we're actually making progress here.
Yeah, we were impressed.
Yeah, no, I will say that, and I know Ryan has really been hard at work on this for the last few years, and good job, Ryan, because I know when I joined council, the number had an additional column in front of it, as I recall. It was over 140K, I believe, when I came on board 7 years ago. But you guys got it down to 35,000. Good job.
Yeah. The refinances over the past few years have been very helpful.
Probably been good for that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, resolution establishing payroll deductions for the police pension plans. I'll turn that over to you. That's one of them.
Yes, for the police officers, their pension is governed by Act 600. There's a provision under Act 600 that allows for the implementation of deductions to cover a part of that cost. The amount of the money that we receive from the state of Pennsylvania comes nowhere near covering the cost of the pension. And so for the last several years, we've adopted a resolution at the beginning of the year creating a 5% deduction from pay to cover in part the cost of the pension plan. The actual cost of the plan is closer to, it varies between 16 and 18%. So
I move that we approve Resolution 010122.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution carries. Okay, appointment of representatives to the Washington County Sewage Council. I think it's what, Mr. Jarosky, Mr. Razoo, you guys
Yes.
still able to take that on? You need a motion on that, right?
I'll make a motion
Yes.
that we reappoint Mr. Jarosky and Mr. Zook.
It's a crappy job, but you guys do it well. I'll second.
Okay, all
I'm
those
sorry.
in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I know, I was thinking of a trash joke
Yeah.
before when you were talking rye, but I couldn't think of one.
All right, extension of depository services agreement with Washington Financial Bank.
we just recently moved to Washington Financial Bank as our depository. That has worked out well from a lot of different perspectives, and it's our recommendation that we continue that relationship.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So one of the things that you need to do is to adopt a resolution designating the council chairman and the council vice chairman as signatures on that account. The way our accounts work is that they require 2 signatures. One of those need to be a member of council, and one of those needs to be an administrative officer of the township.
I move that we adopt Resolution 010222.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes as well. All right, the meeting minutes from December 20th, 2021.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes of the December 20th, 2021 meeting.
Get a second on that?
Second. That's fine.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is audience comments. Opportunity for members of the audience to speak up for 5 minutes on any non-agenda item. Any takers? Okay, moving along. Unfinished business, there is none. New business, first item will be an appointment of a representative to the Library Strategic Planning Committee.
So as I had discussed with council late in the year, the Library Foundation is providing funding to do a strategic plan for the library. I think it's important that there be a member of council on that committee. In addition, I intend to serve on that committee as well. This committee is going to meet virtually on Wednesdays and every other Wednesday, and they anticipate these meetings not lasting more than a half hour. So,
Will they be during the day, at night, or when will they?
during the day on Wednesday, I think it's the afternoon.
Well, if nobody else is chomping at the bit, I'll undertake it.
Need a motion on that then, or just?
No, we just need to know.
All right, unless anybody else wants it. Give it to Mr. Koser.
Why, thank you, Mr. Steigel.
You're welcome.
Item B, the reaffirmation of the township's application to the Washington County Local Share Program for the Rolling Hills Park Aquatic Facility.
So one of the things that has happened since the last time we met, we have received notice from the Department of Community and Natural Resources that the township has received an additional grant of $621,000 for the aquatic center. We have the third grant application that we made is actually with Washington County under their local share account. In speaking with people who sit on that committee, it was recommended, particularly in light of the fact that we have a new council, that we reaffirm our interest in that grant application. They are scheduled to have very brief public presentations by municipalities later in January, but then shortly thereafter they'll be making decisions with regard to these grants. And I think it would behoove us to send a letter to Mr. Catula, who chairs that, as well as Representative O'Neill, who's the state representative who's on that committee, indicating that in fact we still support that grant application.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we authorize the chairman of council to issue a letter reaffirming council's support for the township's application to the Washington County Local Share Program for the Rolling Hills Park Aquatic Facility. But I wanted to be clear, this is not a vote approving the aquatics facility, nothing of that nature. This is just reaffirming our interest in the grant.
Second.
Can that, assuming we got that grant, that couldn't be used as a part of matching for the $2 million, right?
It's got all these matches are local matches.
Okay, so they're all independent.
Yes.
So we got $2 million off of one, 600,000.
631,000 of another
671.
631,000.
So we'd be looking at what, a minimum of 5 points. Help me with my math here.
Well,
5.2.
Be a little bit. It would be a little over 3.
3.1.
Yeah.
We'd be on the hook for.
Yeah. So it's,
Let me ask you a question, Paul. How long do these grants stay open? Do we know? Like if we got awarded like the $631,000 grant.
it'll be a few years. It'll be a few years.
And
See,
same thing with
and
this.
again, just to go back to this, it's going to, if we can negotiate a contract for the $2 million grant, we've been told that if we were to do that expeditiously, it would take at least 6 months. It's a reimbursement grant, which means where you could go out and spend that money now, you can't get reimbursed until the grant agreement is in place. We're not in a position to fund $2 million and wait close to a year to be reimbursed. So at the very least, I think you're waiting until that grant agreement is done. The grant agreement with DCNR, you'll have at least a couple years. With LSA, it's always 2 years at least. And each of those can be extended based upon request. So I don't think this gets you locked in. I think if you were moving ahead with the aquatic center, in all likelihood, you would start construction next year if you were moving ahead with it.
And of course, that's going to depend on what the bids say whenever we
Yes.
send this out for
Yes.
rebid.
I think we're
So,
still waiting on operating costs as well, right?
Yes, because what I think we need to do is, in this interim period, this 6-month period, we need to get in front of council the people who have looked at managing this project, the actual operation of the pool, so that you can make a decision and they can provide you insight into what's possible in terms of actually recovering operating costs. So, and the other thing is, the only way to really know what the pool as designed cost is to send it out to bid. The township is paid to have those bid documents done. They're ready to go out the door now. And I'm not suggesting that we do that now, but it may be, and again, I'm trying to work through this in my own head, it may be that you want to do that prior to the signing the grant agreement, so you know what you're on the hook for. So, but we need to work that out between now and this 6 months it's going to take to enter this grant
Well, I
agreement.
think it needs to go out. Because what if it comes back and it's too high? Then we're between a rock and a hard place.
No,
We might have to redesign.
Yes, but I would wait. We talked about this before. I think the project that needs to move forward right now is the fire station. We have a design for it. We're waiting on some permitting from outside agencies, but it's ready to go. And I think we ought to move that project ahead and get that construction underway. And once you have that underway and well underway, we would be in a position then to look at whether or not it made sense to send the pool out. I just don't think that between all the other things that we have to manage in terms of capital projects this year, that we're in a position to manage the construction of a pool and the construction of a fire station and all of the extra projects we've taken on with the American Rescue Plan money. I don't think it makes sense.
No, particularly not in light of the fact that the $2 million grant that we got, doesn't need to be spent for 5 years.
Yes.
So.
And again, you don't want to put it under contract until we have that grant agreement signed because we need to get reimbursed.
All right, there's a motion.
Okay, yeah, motion is on the floor as well as a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All that letter. Item C, authorization of pre-qualified bidders for the construction of fire station number 3.
So one of the things that we routinely do with building construction projects is to pre-qualify bidders. And it's done in such a way that there's a series of questions, and they're kind of yes or no questions that determine whether or not the firm has experience with projects the size and scope of what it is we're doing. And what we'd like to get from council is authorization to go out and pre-qualify bidders. That will come back to you at a future meeting for approval.
Would you expect the criteria to be different than the solicitation you did for the aquatic center?
Yes, because if nothing else, the scale of the project is much smaller. So there would be an opportunity for firms that might not qualify to do the aquatic center to be able to be qualified to do the fire station. Mm-hmm. And I think each of these has to stand on its own. One of the things that Ryan has indicated, and I would agree with him, is we're going to let the people know who are pre-qualified for the aquatic center that this project's out there. So that, in fact, if they're interested in being qualified for this project, we can do that as well.
Is there an estimated time completion for the fire station?
What we're hoping to be able to do is pre-qualify bidders. It may come back to you as quickly as January 24th. If that were the case, we think we would be ready to go out to bid in late February, early March, and get construction for the entire season, and that it would be completed in this year.
Have we given McClure notice to quit yet?
Well, we have, and we need to talk about that in executive session because I think we have an issue. We have occupancy of the building. That's not the problem.
Okay.
But we need to talk about that.
Is that part of tonight's executive session?
It takes this long. You just have to tell me which way you want to point Mr. Smith.
Okay. Anybody second Frank's motion?
No.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of authorizing the pre-qualification of bidders, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on, correspondence. There's none. Payroll and bills. I reviewed the payroll and bills prior to tonight's meeting and recommend that they be approved.
And knowing your good judgment, I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes. Anything anybody wants to comment or any questions on? Moving along, miscellaneous and joint council school board annual workshop.
I've yet to be able to work out a proposed date with Dr. French for the school board workshop. I would suggest that if people have items that they would like to include on that agenda, that you let me know.
Well, I think the use of the natatorium would be an obvious one.
Yes.
I think their intentions concerning the whole middle school.
Yes.
And also, I know at one point we had discussed working together with regard to the entrance signs at the new park and the new high school.
Yes, yeah, I've been looking at that. We have to take a look because the grading on our side may make that difficult for what we initially had planned. So we might have to look at a different configuration there.
So will the landscaping and the park match the school district? Because I hope not.
So you better hope
I mean,
not.
it is, you know, build a beautiful state-of-the-art school, and it's surrounded by weeds. It's not what I would have expected.
Well, I don't think it's going to quite look like that everywhere, but there, just as we established pollinator garden at Elm Grove, we're going to take that approach in certain sections of the park as well, where we have steep slopes and things like that can't be mowed. So,
Paul, would we work with the school board at all on the cell phone service?
we can discuss that with them, yes.
I mean, we have to do something. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, one thing I will tell you, AT&T is installing a 5G cell site next to Walgreens on that end. So their commitment that they made to us, we're starting to see that realized. They've also sent us a lease agreement for putting a tower in at Peterswood Park that we've talked about, where it's a combination tower light standard for the football field. That's moving forward, and I have forwarded to Mr. Smith that agreement. So
They don't want to stroke a check for the, have the billboard in their name,
no, they're going to pay us rent.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, and Chief Grimes had sent this up previously. Chief Grimes has, I mean, this is quite an honor, not only for Chief Grimes, but quite honestly for the township. Chief Grimes is going to be sworn in as the president of the Western Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police. That's occurring on January 18th at noon. It's going to be a luncheon at the Valley Brook Country Club. If you're interested in attending, Chief Grimes needs to know that as soon as possible. I know he is on here tomorrow, but if it could be soon. I think it's important for the township to support Chief Grimes in this endeavor, and it's a reflection of how his colleagues feel about him. So,
Does anybody have any items they'd like to bring up for the next meeting?
I want to address the traffic on Johnston Road. We had 2 accidents over there again this week. Some needs to be about the speed, and I don't say that just because I live there.
I had another resident on your street address concern at that front this last week.
Probably because it was his parents' house that had the mailbox taken out on Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, we can revisit that. Anything else? All right.
But if we're going to revisit that, maybe in the interim, we could talk to Mudry, see if he has any suggestions as to what we can do. Because it would be a waste of time if we didn't have options.
Well, like I said, about when I first came on council, you guys had this grandiose plan about how you were going to build a traffic median in my front yard, and I was fine with that. I actually landscaped my front yard and kept my driveway back away from the road when I put it in, so to allow for that. So if that's still on the table, feel free to dig up my front
but
yard.
let's do this. I don't know whether Mr. Mudry can get you an answer or a report by next meeting. Maybe he can. But let us do that first. Let's get Mr. Mudry to take a look at the situation, and then we'll have him come here and report to council.
Because he'll be able to tell you, like,
Yes.
speed, whether you can
he's going to want
reduce
to.
it, or whether you can put a stop sign someplace.
Yeah, he's going to want to do counts and.
When were the towns taken last time? Was it all the way back to where Frank started?
See, I don't.
I thought it was a
No,
long time.
that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So we'll get counters out. We'll find all that out.
On that end, Mark, I heard a few years ago they were going to raise Thomas Road or Johnson Road down at Thomas. Is that still on the table? That they were going to redo that intersection down there?
I've heard, we're still trying to get the state to pave Thomas Road.
Yeah, I find that
I
hard to
don't know
believe.
what their plans for that
All
are.
right, because I know at one point they were talking about raising it down there. I wasn't sure whether that was still,
You
I mean, that's
make
kind
it
of
a raised intersection?
no, raising Johnston Road,
raising
where it
the
comes
road.
up to Thomas.
I mean, that's kind of the state's MO, is they overlay a lot of these
Right.
roads without building them. so
Raise
they-
Johnston.
Intersection wouldn't be bad.
No, I'm just talking about they're going to raise, to get rid of that dip when you come up on Thomas.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing else, meeting is adjourned.